The case study we will be discussing today is about Toyota and their lean philosophy. We will be analyzing a case study extract from Chapter 2, Learning from Toyota Lean Philosophy and Foundations from the textbook titled Implementing Lean, Twice the Output with Half the Input, authored by Charles W. and Daniel Protzman and Fred Witten, and published in September 4 of 2018. The study discusses the strategy of Toyota's success, which is driven by Lean. Lean is sustained through the Toyota House Model, which runs the Toyota production system. It all begins with Toyota's philosophy and their 5 precepts, because the House Model builds on top of those. Summarizing the focal meaning of Lean tells a philosophy focusing on minimizing resources used while maximizing the value for the customer. In the Toyota case, I will lay out how we will be presenting our analysis of Toyota's strategy. Firstly, I will give an overview of the case study by summarizing Toyota's Lean strategy, leveraging on their core values and foundations of their strategy. Inma will expand on the Toyota House Model, the Jidoka concept, and the separation of worker from machine concept. Afterwards, Rohit will then inspect the links of the study with systems thinking theory. We will then address issues arising from the strategy by the examination of implementing Kaizen and Jidoka by Matt. Matt will then address those limitations by exploring some ways to mitigate the weaknesses and capitalize on the strengths of Kaizen. Further on, Matt will also address issues within the Toyota strategy case study with the assistance of the balanced scorecard tool. Towards the end, Rohit will interpret the overall study, anchoring on critical thinking, and lastly, he will then critically assess the case study, giving final thoughts on Toyota's Lean strategy and its worth in strategic accounting. So this is the layout of how we'll be presenting today. I'll get started by explaining the whole case study in an overview. The case study discusses the foundation of Toyota's success. Their driver for success is conjured through sustaining their Lean strategy. In this strategy, everything starts with Toyota's philosophy and their 5 precepts. To summarize the important points of Toyota's precepts, they are focused on being contributive to the country, leading pursuit of improvement, being practical, and creating a warm environment. To summarize Toyota's philosophy, it is about putting customers first, valuing people, creating an environment for improvement, and supporting the work floor. To summarize the key points of the 14 principles of the Toyota Way, they are to focus on long-term, building a culture of problem-solving from the start with controls to see and minimize problems, developing leaders and workers that embody company philosophy, standardizing processes, leveling workload, using pull systems to avoid overproduction, using reliable technology that serves the process, and building a learning environment with continuous improvement. Lean runs on the Toyota House Model to create a system for continuous improvement. The model has 4 main components. Firstly, the first pillar is the just-in-time concept. It's about using minimal number of resources to make problems visible and expose wasteful resources. Second component is the Jidoka pillar. Essentially, it is about striving for quality and no defects. Jidoka has multiple principles. Separating man from machine is about giving machines repetitive and dangerous jobs. The second Jidoka principle is protecting humans and eliminating human mistakes. In Jidoka, the quality control circles concept used to empower frontline employees, but nowadays product knowledge and responsibilities are more focused for managers and engineers now. A key aspect of Jidoka also focuses on reposing from temporary solution and finding the root issue of a problem. The third component of the Toyota House Model is respect for humanity. This is about putting focus on the employee rather than the manager. True Lean companies don't strategize to lay off employees. This would be detrimental to the improvement culture. The fourth component of the Toyota House Model is the foundational requirements, which is mainly about standardization of processes. I will now briefly summarize some other tools and concepts in this study used in conjunction with the overall Lean strategy of Toyota. The 5 whys tool is about asking why to a problem 5 times to drive the root cause of the issue. The do we know what we don't know concept is important as it highlights that the things we don't know that we don't know is an issue in problem solving. It is also important that people don't assume everyone knows what you know, as it can cause disruptions in work. Another Lean tool is the 5W 2H's. With this, you ask why, what, how, who, where, how much, and when for an inquiry to improve efficiency and reduce resource waste. The last concept explained in the case is one-piece flow. It is in sole about servicing the flow processes of an output in individual step-by-step components rather than batching. Toyota always wants to apply OPF, when possible to create faster results and decrease error opportunities. Inma will now expand upon specific sections of the Toyota House model.
My name is Ima. I would like to talk about the Toyota House model. The Toyota Production System, or TPS, is a widely used and successful production system in manufacturing that focuses on reducing and eliminating waste while producing quality products for consumers. The TPS model was developed by the Toyota Motor Corporation for their vehicle production system, but the principle and activities it encompasses can be applied to near any industry. When discussing the TPS and its many features, it can be helpful to think of the system like a house. The house of the Toyota production system is built upon a stronger and stable foundation, has two main pillars, with the overreaching goal of TPS as the tip of the house. The first pillar, just in time, having only what is needed, only when it's needed, and only where it's needed. The idea of JIT manufacturing is to implement a production methods that emphasize the minimization of waste and workers being able to operate efficiently. Instead of producing items as you have the materials, certain steps of the production purge shouldn't start until an order is triggered. The pillars of the Toyota production system are built upon a stable foundation of standardized work and continuous improvement. The goal of using the stages of Toyota and lean manufacturing like Kanban, takt time, and analyze is to create higher quality products as at the lowest cost to the manufacturer with the shortest lead time. Eliminating waste and ensure the product will meet consumer expectations are the name of the lean manufacturing games. The tool is continuous Heijinka Kanban multi-skill staff. Heijinka is a low producer to level the workload and create a smooth workflow. Kanban is Japanese means signboard or billboard. It's a scheduling system to improve manufacturing efficiency. A pro system, usually a Kanban method, is designed to signal when an action is supposed to happen. Implementing a Kanban system works to keep the factor from overproduction. Content process and step in the manufacturing process will only begin when a worker receives a specific signal. By doing so, unnecessary inventory will not be created and bottlenecks will be reduced. Minimum amount of inventory and space necessary will make problems more visible and expose the waste. The second period I will introduce in next slide. Jidoka used in Toyota production system means automation. The concept of Jidoka is provide machine with the capability to detect the flag inconsistency or abnormal condition in the production line. This allows process operators the ability to quickly address the issue. It can producing zero defect, respect humans more than making them do repetitive and dangerous work. System must be designed to find error prior to it happen. Detect the defective part before passing it to the next process. How to apply discovery and abnormality, stop the process, fix the immediate problem, investigate and solve the root cause. The tool is Arden Fixed Position Stop Line Stop called Pakayoki. Arden is visual control for each line. Pakayoki is mistake-proofing. The separation of worker from machine. Most companies manage one operator for 2 or 3 machines, but in 1993, Toyota managed 16 machines per operator, which because of Jidoka. They separate worker from machine to make it automation and make way more efficient. Instead of worker need to watch the machine all the time to avoid any error and problems. They developed and updated the system let machine to do it by itself. Now, Toyota already at the pre-automation stage, which machine can detect abnormality by itself. Worker just need to deposition of the error.
Hi, I'm Matt, and now I'll be discussing some of the limitations of the Toyota business model, particularly around the core strategy that revolves around the ideas of Kaizen and Jidoka. While the Kaizen mindset has seen much success, it does have several drawbacks which can be potentially crippling if not well managed. Many companies have attempted to follow the Kaizen model with limited success, and there are various things that can explain why they haven't been able to maintain a strong implementation of the strategy. Firstly, there is a very strong reliance on existing lean thinking and lean tool principles. So unless all departments of the organization have a strategy well embedded, they'll likely struggle to maintain strong performance. Keeping employees on board is also a key part of Toyota's strategy and ties back to its principle of respect for humanity. However, the automation process required to achieve the same vision of respect for humanity can also make it difficult for organizations to maintain the same employment expenses and could lead to disharmony in the company's strategy. Another issue brought up in the case of Toyota is how easy it is to make assumptions about the way that others think. The most dangerous type of knowledge is not knowing what you don't know, or knowing enough to be dangerous, which occurs when we think we know things, but we really don't. In this regard, it is important that employees can play an active role in developing each other's knowledge. The organization also has a strong emphasis on tying Kaizen to efficiency KPIs, which can lead to some tunnel vision and an inflexible bureaucratic system. As mentioned earlier, Kaizen really relies on organization-wide implementation, and it can't live up to its true potential unless every employee is well trained and fully committed to a Kaizen mindset. Many organizations also struggle with the idea of Jidoka. An example of this is a perceived need to pay employees for monitoring machines in case they break down. However, an organization that can effectively implement Jidoka can tell operators that they no longer need to watch machines. This is not because, as many would assume, the company doesn't care about quality, but because they are building quality into the system. So the very act of monitoring becomes a waste of the employee's time, and they can better utilize their time elsewhere in the process. Strategic accountants can play a key role in helping to alleviate some of these issues, as well as helping organizations capitalize on the strengths of Kaizen. Maintaining high levels of employee retention is a crucial part of respect for humanity principle, so it's important for management to adjust their strategy so that it can effectively retrain employees if their workload is reduced because of automation. We also need to make sure that the steady focus on Kaizen improvement is not ignored when chasing after high growth targets. This area could be seen in organizations that attempted to utilize Kaizen as well as Toyota itself. In this regard, it is important not to let complacency undermine the functioning of a company's core strategy. We can also reduce the reliance on top-down management that is common in companies that implement Kaizen so that employees can play a greater role in participating in improvements and increase flexibility in the workplace. This can be partially achieved by moving employees between teams on a semi-regular basis so they can gain different perspectives and thus encouraging innovation. However, in order for improvement initiatives to work, we require clear communication throughout the organization about the objectives of Kaizen so that there is sufficient goal congruence throughout all levels of management. As such, the balance between top-down and bottom-up management initiatives needs to strike a careful balance. One of the most useful tools that strategic accountants can utilize to ensure a cohesive strategy plan is a balanced scorecard. By looking at the potential strengths and weaknesses of a Toyota strategy through a SWOT analysis, we can identify various objectives that can line up with the 4 scorecards, those being internal business processes, learning and growth, financial, and customer. By keeping the Toyota vision at the core of a balanced scorecard approach, we can then identify KPIs that measure not only Kaizen efficiency improvements in the internal business processes, but also learning, growth, financial, and customer requirements to ensure a comprehensive strategy for a company that can effectively address weaknesses across the board. In particular, the process of review is an essential component of a process. In recent times, Toyota has had difficulties in maintaining its gradual improvement strategy by chasing high growth targets and rapid expansion globally. Drifting away from core company values can be alleviated through a consistent cyclical review of the environmental factors affecting the company, as well as the opportunities presented, and making sure that growth objectives remain consistent with the company's long-term strategy. Strategic accounting is of central importance to these processes of improvement, as well as the implementation of the company's vision.
Systems thinking theory is one of the major areas discussed in the case study, and is shown as a key part of lean implementation and the building block for a learning organization for Toyota. The key element of systems thinking is to improve on the process-focused metrics, such as efficiency indicators, capacity indicators, quality indicators, value indicators, and so on, and allow results-focused metrics to just take care of themselves. Considering Toyota is a publicly traded company, this change can prove to be very difficult for executives, as usually most publicly traded companies tend to focus much more on result-focused metrics, such as quarterly revenue, bookings, and margin, rather than the process. The core teaching of systems thinking lies in the fact that each part of the process is interdependent on the others. It is fundamental and extremely important to understand that changing small pieces within a system will not change the overall system. According to systems thinking, the only way to fix the system is to change the system. This approach is hardly taken in companies, as most employees have minimal training when it comes to systems thinking. This case study's major theme is that lean is all about people and developing them, and that all behaviors and problems the company is currently facing can be changed by first figuring out this system. As stated in the case study, the goal of Jidoka is to always strive for 100% quality in products by producing 0 defects. This links directly to the systems thinking theory, as 100% quality in products focuses on improving quality indicators, which is a part of process-focused metrics, which is what systems thinking theory aims to achieve. Kaizen is the way Toyota aimed to move towards lean management. Toyota's critical thinking includes systematic and logical ways in which Toyota can implement activities that cause improvement. Various ways have been explored in the case study, from making the employees' jobs easier and layoffs to just-in-time strategies and quality control circles, also known as Jushikin. Jushikin is when volunteered employees meet at regular intervals to discuss problems and use PDSA to develop solutions. This activity links Kaizen to critical thinking as it strengthens Toyota's philosophy to create a problem-solving environment. Another Kaizen activity is its primary focus on process-focused metrics. This links to critical thinking with systematic thinking as it aims to focus less on results and more on the process. This case study explores and identifies Toyota's lean strategies and implementations that include Toyota's 5 precepts. The philosophy, also known as TPS, which includes Kaizen, the 14 principles of the Toyota Way, and the Toyota House Model. The Toyota House Model, which includes just-in-time, Jidoka, respect for humanity, and foundational requirements, are all part of implementing lean activities, such as Sigma levels, quality control circles, containment action versus countermeasures versus solution, and explores why Jidoka is so hard to implement. Although just-in-time is a very effective and cost-saving method of managing inventory, it can also have negative implications on companies if not managed properly. Just-in-time comes with the risk of a stock shortage if forecasting is not done properly. The JIT strategy also increases the dependency on suppliers and can cause massive disruptions to the supply chain and production if suppliers don't deliver just in time. However, Toyota being the master and the inventor of JIT, you can assure Toyota definitely know how to implement just in time in a positive manner. The 5 WISE techniques to solve problems is a very positive and proven technique that can be used effectively in problem solving by Toyota.